I'm joined now by ABC News Papal contributor Father John Wauck for more. Father John, thank you for being here.
It's great to be here.
You were watching the ceremony this morning.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
No, it's just a beautiful sort of confluence of history and geography, the people coming from all over the world, the cardinals from different places around the world, the Pope's body coming, from where he lived, passing into the piazza, under the balcony where we first saw him when he came out and introduced himself to the world. He passed under that into the basilica to be close to the tomb of St. Peter, and he's the successor of St. Peter. And that was all just to begin what is really the second phase of this mourning period. The first part of the mourning period was in the chapel of the house, the Casa Santa Maria, where the Pope lived, where his closest collaborators could pay their respects. And now the body has been brought to St. Peter's Basilica so that the whole world can come to pay their respects to a Pope who reached out to the world. You said the people's Pope who has reached out to the world. Now the world can return the favor.
And we were seeing this morning the huge crowds out there, real excitement apart from anything else to be able to see him. And what I was struck by, that coffin, the simple wooden coffin, in that context of this extraordinary vaulted basilica. Beautiful.
Exactly.
What can we expect for the funeral? Because this is going to be a different funeral to the ones anybody alive has ever seen, right?
Right. Well, the most unique thing about the papal funeral this time is that for the first time since the 1800s, the Pope will not be buried in St. Peter's, and that involves bringing his body from St. Peter's to this other basilica, one of the great basilicas of Rome, St. Mary Major, which always has had a special place in the heart of Pope Francis, and he said in his will he wanted to be buried there. That's going to change what the funeral will look like completely. It will actually sort of put Rome on its head, I think, because it's going to mean
you can imagine people
closing streets,
lining the streets.
Absolutely.
They'll be cheering, I would have thought. I'm just put in mind, again, I made the comparison earlier, but the comparison to Queen Elizabeth when she died and we had her hearse go through London. People wanted to come out, actually the length of the country for that matter.
Sure.
And he had that same appeal, which was outside of the institution of the Vatican.
No, there'll be people, obviously the people of Rome, the city of Rome, but then you have churchmen, cardinals, bishops, priests, deacons, and heads of state, pilgrims from around the world who are coming, because this is a Jubilee year. The Pope died in a Jubilee year that he himself called. There's tons of pilgrims in Rome already, just because of that, and even more so now with the passing of the Pope.
I know we're remembering Francis, and Saturday will be a truly extraordinary day, but obviously the conclave, a lot of people are interested in what goes on there. Talk people through what happens now and what will happen in the days following the funeral and the kinds of conversations these men are likely already starting to have.
Well, I think in the days after the funeral, what you see are kind of two things. One is kind of a liturgical ceremony, which are the 9 days of masses for the soul of the deceased Pope. And that's a formal ceremony, really, the Mass for the Pope's repose. But then you have the meetings of the cardinals, the congregations they're called, which are simply a gathering of the cardinals, not only the voting cardinals, but also the cardinals who are over 80, and there are a lot now. There's a very large number of cardinals who will be in the congregations, those meetings, and talking about the needs of the church and what the next Pope should be like and how they see their vision for the future. But they're not going to be voting. That's a bit of a new thing in the sense that I think simply because of modern medicine, we have a very large number of over 80 cardinals. It used to be that there were a few cardinals who weren't voting. Now there's a lot of cardinals who are alive, but they're not voting.
But they will have this kind of impact, I guess,
have a huge impact
on the periphery before the conclave formally gets underway.
Their wisdom, the wisdom of their experience is going to be an important part of this.
Father John Wauck, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
An extraordinary day already here. Lots to look forward to, but for the moment, thousands of people will be lining up to see Pope Francis lying in state.